Hello and welcome to another episode of KCAT Commentary, your go-to place for anime, manga, and yaoi facts, recommendations, and reviews, all done by yours truly. Today, I'm going to provide some aid to those first-time yaoi sprites who are just getting into the fandom and have no idea where to start as in regards to reading manga. Trust me, when I first started getting into yaoi, I learned pretty quickly that with all the various mangas out there, the yaoi genre can be very confusing. So I comprised a list of the top 5 yaoi manga for the first-time yaoi sprites that are willing to kind of dabble into the genre. Now, when I created this list, I used it based on their fair amount of sexually explicit content and how it wasn't so explicit that it took away from the plot. Mind you, these titles are pretty tame, leaning more towards the shonen-ai to softcore yaoi genre. So, if you do want me to make a top 10 steamy yaoi or explicit yaoi list, let me know in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Number 5, Kyoi Main. Kyoi Main is a manga written by Akira Hiyoshimaru. It's a school life yaoi manga about a free-spirited and goofy kawaii, or underclassman, who is head over heels in love with his senpai Kama. He visits him every day and does everything he can to ensure that they stay together. To be honest, when I first read this manga, the art made me giggle. It was really kind of a quirky and cute storyline with fairly decent amount of plot, and has 0 hardcore sex scenes in it. It's just a simple high school romance story of how two people with two totally different point of views on love and life come together. There is a love triangle factor and is added as a serious note in one of the main characters' backstory, but overall this quirky and quaint love story is a great read for a newbie who's just getting into testing the waters of the yaoi scene. And with only about 6 chapters, it's a decent length to read and will also leave you all warm and fuzzy inside afterwards. Number 4, Doukyuusei by Nakamura Asumiko. While this wasn't the first manga I've read by Miss Asumiko sensei, it is definitely one of the most lighthearted and memorable ones I've read. This is another school life or slice of life manga about 2 boys in their music class who meet at chance by the power of a song and slowly fall in love with one another. The story basically highlights the attraction of 2 people who have opposite personalities and ways on life and thinking, and their struggles and joy of finding and loving one another. This one has another sort of love triangle, but the third person, well, I don't really want to give anything away or too much of the story, but let's just say it can be described as one-sided. There's also a sequel and a side story to this manga called Sora Tahara, which is a continuation from this story. I also highly recommend that if you enjoy this story. Again, this manga is fairly short and well worth, with only about 5 chapters and 3 side stories, but I guarantee it's well worth the read, to put you on a wild ride and a lovely ride. Also, this manga has been adapted into an anime film and having a screening in select US states and cities, which I'll leave a link down in the description below if you are interested. Number 3, 3 Wolves Mountain by Bohra. This manga is a tad different than the last 2. It's still a quirky love story, and it's still more of a modern-day fantasy and a semi-anthro yaoi manga, though. It's basically about 2 wolf brothers who travel quite a ways from home and find themselves staying at a place/cafe of a grave guard in the mountains. This manga, unlike others, have more violence and a bit gore, nothing too heavy. But it also deals with ghosts and spirits, and the 2 main characters are about 20 years at least in age, as the Ook is at least 18 and the Seme is probably in his 30s to early 40s. It's only 5 chapters long and has 1 extra chapter as a side story and tackles more serious and sexually depicted issues. But above all, it's a very unique story, and even the supporting and side characters have a chapter or 2 and gives you a chance to love or hate them more. A great dabble read nonetheless, and a great method of storytelling. Number 2, My Life with You by Tsurugi. Oh crap! Oh, it's heating up now. Now we're gonna get serious. In this manga, we follow the story of Steve McDaniel and his mission in the Navy SEALs, or our military, to save a batch of hostages. Well, what he thought was a batch of hostages, which was actually only one, his name was Eric Stewart, a brilliant scientist. Steve rescued him and brought him back home to America, and from there the story spawns through the friendship and eventually the love life between the two men. This particular manga is a drama, slice of life, and psychological tragedy. There's some pretty dark moments in the story, including an implied rape scene. So if you do have some sort of trigger warning for rape scenes, I don't recommend reading this if it's not your cup of tea. It has its dark and tear-jerking moments, and a bit more tragic than the other manga on this list, but rest assured, with 3 chapters long plus an extra side chapter, which is more of a kind of continuation of their life after their main goal, you're guaranteed to have both a satisfaction and a sense of heartwarming feels with this manga. Number 1, Gravitation by Maki Murakami. Yes, I know, it's pretty cliche, and I'm sure most of you have seen the anime or at least heard of the manga and aware of its popularity. But I do have to say, despite its praise, the anime leaves a lot out of the plot and endearing, juicy content that is enriched into Maki Murakami's works of the original manga. For those who don't know, Gravitation is a slice-of-life, music-driven drama about a boy named Shuichi Shindo who's trying to make it big as a singer to idolize his #1 singing idol, Ryuichi Sakuma. While he's writing lyrics for a song he's expected to perform at his school, he runs into a man with drop-dead gorgeous looks, as he describes it, and happens to catch a hold and read Shuichi's song lyrics, and insults it. This causes Shuichi to go a bit more nuts than usual and do everything he can to prove to him that he's wrong, while learning that this man is really a famous romance novelist by the pen name Ariyuki. From there on, the story evolves into a story and plot device about love, loss, regret, and redemption between the two main characters. While the story may come off as pretty cliche in the beginning, once you develop and dove deeper into the manga, you get into more serious and psychological issues that exist in the manga between the characters and threaten the standing of not only the two main characters' relationships, Shuichi and Ariyuki, but as well as the supporting cast that are around each of the main characters as well. The story is still ongoing and is broken up into 2 series, Gravitation, which is about 12 volumes or 54 chapters long, which are also known as tracks. So there's a lot of story to cover. And then there's also Gravitation EX, which is a continuation of Gravitation, which is only about 2 volumes so far. Nonetheless, you're going to enjoy the spontaneous and edgy plot sequence that has the balance of sensual and sometimes a bit rough and realistically sexual scenes. I recommend it 112%. A side note, if you ever wondered about the pairings in Gravitation and if there was any other doujin, well, guess what? Wonder no more. If you like hardcore sex scenes, I do recommend reading Gravitation doujins created by Maki Murakami herself. But be aware that some of these are indeed hardcore. I do not say this lightly when I say they are hardcore, and there's a fair amount of Shotokan, mind break, pissing, and other kind of questionable scenes that go on in this manga's doujin. So, if you're not into that, I don't recommend reading it, but the original Gravitation books I do recommend, as they have a balance and not too explicit sex scenes, and a very good balance of plot and sensual moments. And there you have it, 5 yaoi mangas for first-time yaoi readers. Into the genre, of course. Did you like my list? What other yaoi mangas do you remember reading when you first discovered yaoi? Let me know in the comments section below. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more anime, manga, yaoi facts, reviews, and recommendations. All the links to the manga I just recommended will be in the description down below. Stay ultra kawaii and stay groovin', humans. Bye!